Alhamdulillah, what's the difference between me and you? Me who goes out to call towards Allah, towards Tawheed, towards the one creator, the one who sent Abraham and Moses and Jesus and Muhammad and peace and blessings be upon all of them, and you who comes out to debate and argue and expose and spread hate and lies. What's the difference? Well, the first difference is I don't dress up in women's clothing and put makeup and all that, but that's your business. But then you see the intention. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon, told us, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Every deed is based upon the intention. You're out there trying to make your dunya, trying to make money, trying to earn a living and spend. And I'm out there trying to build my akhirah, I'm trying to build my hereafter. You're out there trying to attack and expose and spread your lies. You don't even care about belief. I don't even think you believe in God, because you work with atheists like Apis. You don't care that he doesn't even believe in God. You just want to use it to attack Islam, to attack the truth, to make money. You're out there making these videos to make money, and then you're making videos begging people for money again. Me, I don't take a salary. I'm not trying to make money. I'm out there with the intention that I become a means of guidance for people to find their creator, to find their purpose in life, to go back to what they're supposed to be upon, the truth, Islam. And that's what Allah gives us according to our intentions. You intend to expose, Allah exposes you. You come out there to debate and argue and lie, but Allah exposes you. I intend for people to be guided back to their creator, to become a means of that. Allah has blessed us that every time you've come out, people have accepted Islam based on the intentions. Allah blessed us this last time you came out, 2 people became Muslim right there at Balboa Park that same day. And alhamdulillah, a brother came out that day, put a brother on the phone from Dallas that alhamdulillah he became Muslim from watching our videos, and his entire family became Muslim. Brother came out from Canada, showed 2 people in Canada that recently became Muslim from watching these debates and videos. So we ask Allah to accept it from us and keep our intention sincere for His sake only, and to reward everybody who watches, likes, subscribes, shares these videos. And we ask Allah to continue to make us a means of guidance until the whole world is upon Tawheed. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
Atmosphere. Islamophobic organisations are becoming ever more organised and influential. A new Al Jazeera investigation has found out this. I'm Femi Okay.
And I'm Malika Bilal. You're in the stream live on Al Jazeera and YouTube. Today we'll discuss the documentary and a look at how anti-Muslim groups are making a lucrative business from hate. Have a look.
Intolerance and anger have gripped parts of white America.
Get back right now. You'll be the first one to get murdered by the Muslim.
Assaults on Muslim Americans are increasing.
Your prophet is perverted.
An explosion at a Bloomington Islamic Center.
Send them back to the dustbin they come from and let them go sit on a camel.
Trying to impose the Sharia.
This investigation traces the groups that promote Islamophobia, the fear of Muslims.
Women raped on the streets of Germany because of unvetted Islamic refugees.
We expose the tactics used to influence social media, and we reveal their connections to members of the Trump administration.
I was speaking 3 or 4 times a week with Jeff Sessions, up to the election and after the election.
Islamophobia is now Islamophobia Incorporated, and that's according to our colleagues in Al Jazeera's investigations unit. Leading hate groups across the US are using social media to amplify their bigotry with devastating consequences for Muslim communities. And they have deep pockets thanks to payments from anonymous donors that run into millions of dollars.
Belying the notion that merely individuals and small groups are behind anti-Muslim rhetoric and violence, Islamophobia Incorporated is well-oiled and media-savvy, and it has forged connections with the Trump administration. Here to discuss this, we have Jeremy Young, Al Jazeera's senior investigative producer who worked on the film. Deidre Aboud joins us from Phoenix, Arizona. She is a Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate and founder of the Global Institute of Solution-Oriented Leadership. She appears in the Al Jazeera film we're discussing today.
From Philadelphia, we have Nazia Kazi. She is Assistant Professor of Anthropology at Stockton University and author of the upcoming book, Race, Islamophobia and Global Politics. And in Chicago, we have Ahmed Rehab. He is Executive Director of the Chicago Office of the Council on American Islamic Relations, also known as CARE. Good to have you here, everybody. Jeremy, you ventured into communities that you don't have a connection to, but you saw hate focused at them. What was that like?
I think for a lot of the experiences that individuals are going through in Muslim American communities all across the country, it's really difficult, and I think there's a lot of ire, and I think there's a lot of bigotry that's expressed at them in very ordinary places. You know, at the shopping market, at the stoplight, people are saying stuff, people are being attacked physically, and I think it's a really difficult time right now.
Deirdre, this isn't just about Americans hating Muslims. This documentary is about the money behind it, the coordination, the talking points that are shared around. Was any of that a revelation for you?
I was already aware of this. I've been a Muslim walking around in society for years and an activist and attorney. So this is the reality that Muslims live, whether they decide to become high profile or not. What's most disappointing is there is an agenda, there's a lot of money behind it, and these very sincere people that are driven by fear are being used, and they don't even realize they're being used, and it's not even to their benefit.
So there was one person online who agreed that, not necessarily surprised, but this person says they were disgusted. This is a truth seeker on Twitter who says, I was disgusted to find out that Islamophobic organizations were funded in the millions by private organizations. All rhetoric and propaganda needs funding in order to thrive. It fits the U.S. agenda. More votes on the right, division, justify the war, and a Muslim ban. Jeremy, so he talks about this funding. You looked into donors who were funneling money, channeling money to some of these organizations. What surprised you the most?
I think one of the most difficult things to comprehend is the amount of dark money that's involved. And nowadays, especially post Citizens United decision about the involvement of money in U.S. politics, there's just a tremendous amount of funds that flow into these groups that's pretty much unchecked. You know, a lot of it we can verify who's giving it, and a lot of it we really can't, and that's very scary.
Can you explain what dark money is? Yeah,
basically there's organizations where you can funnel money into an organization. For example, one of the ones that we feature is called Donors Trust, which is in the documentary. They then funnel the money into Islamophobic organizations, and the original donor is shielded from being identified as the person who put the money into that organization to begin with.
Sure. I want to play a little clip for you. This is a gentleman called Reuben Israel. I use the phrase gentleman loosely. He's a street preacher. Have a look.
Here's an infidel right here. Here's an infidel right here. What are you going to do? We have banners and tools for every occasion. Here you have one of who Muhammad was and what their religion is about. My religion tells me that Islam is the bastard religion. Most people in America do believe Islam is bad, but don't want to say
Most
something.
People?
Yes.
According to what?
Well, we got a president that we put in office based on his on what he has to say about Islam.
Nazia, I didn't understand the level of hate I was seeing from individual Americans, but you're an anthropologist. Can you make more sense of it?
Sure. You know, I teach about this Islamophobia industry in my classes at Stockton, and quite often, you know, my students are stunned and shocked, as was the person who chimed in on Twitter, to hear about this well-funded network of Islamophobes. But, you know, here we are on Memorial Day, and I think if we want to think about what the most well-funded anti-Muslim organization is, it's the one that invaded Iraq in 2003. You know, and so my point is that we have to make these critical connections between the practices of the state itself. And by the state, I don't just mean the Trump administration, I mean what the US government has been doing for decades, if not longer, and how that kind of trickles down into the hearts and minds of individual bigots and these right-wing sort of fringe organizations. Because I think all too often we have this tendency to regard Islamophobia as this kind of freakish anomaly emanating from the far right, instead of something that's far more endemic to American race politics.
There's something that occurred to me, Ahmed, which was the talking points that circulate about how Muslims are, what they do, what they like. In your Twitter feed, pinned right at the top, tweet from Tommy Campbell, thinking every Muslim is a terrorist is like thinking every American is Donald Trump. But some of these talking points are very, very simplistic. Did you know where they came from? Do you know where they come from?
Well, we've seen the internet and the blogosphere sort of a breeding ground since about 10 years ago that starts some of the most pervasive narratives of Islamophobia in places where most people think they're going to remain niche, but they slowly branch out and get into the mainstream, first through the right-wing mainstream news networks and then into Main Street from there. But just to go back to what Nazia was saying, I agree with her 100%, and it didn't surprise me either. I've always talked about something called the Organized Islamophobia Network. You can call that the Islamophobia industry or Islamophobia Inc. or Fear Inc. But the notion that there's something agenda-driven and purposeful, it's not random, is important. Let me just say that there are two types of Islamophobia as far as I'm concerned. There's the political and the religious in one end, and then there's sort of the Main Street knee-jerk fear kind of reaction on the other. The first two are agenda-driven, whether it's religious or political. We'll get into the difference between the two. But they're also well-funded, and they're funded by billionaires and people who have power in society. People like Sheldon Adelson, the Mercer family, and some of the spokespersons are people in the Senate and in Congress.